The beauty of time passing in relation to movies is seeing how defined past eras were, and the 80s, especially horror, have something that we've yet to authentically replicate.
You f***ed.
And Night of the Demons just may be one of the best hodgepodge examples of everything right from the decade. Simply the perfect concoction of 80s horror. It's a practical effects-driven haunted house story, one that puts its focus on being gory, offensively funny, and all around horny. In its purest sense, Night of the Demons is a party movie, and in terms of vibe and tone, there's one scene that defines it. This is your typical teenage horror setup, a group of friends, a creepy location that seems ridiculous to visit, and of course a really bad idea. The genre tropes were, as they say, long in the tooth by 1988, and something that really helps here, and honestly seems to be the case at the end of any era, is exploiting the trends of the decade. So why not hold a seance in an abandoned funeral home? Our goth queen Angela gathers a crew of misfits for an oddly selective party. And real quick, I'm not sure how much of this aspect is tongue-in-cheek, but I love that nobody here seems to be friends. It's not a group of old chums with, a few stragglers. No. But a handful of pairings that don't seem to connect with anyone else, outside of being basically aware that they exist. Of course, the seance goes to shit, and the demonic entity starts turning everyone into possessed monsters. Night of the Demons is not about breaking new ground, but an exercise in understanding what works and how to do it right. Directed by Kevin Tenney of Witchboard fame, you know what, he really needs to get a bit more credit for giving Night of the Demons such life. The mood here is directly tied to his wise framing and shot compositions. Tenney wasn't one to coast his way through, and honestly, not that this type of horror needs artistic direction, but it really elevates the fun schlock. The way a scene is framed can instantly set the tone. The constant movement and energy brought here lends to the snappy pacing and helps energize a simple haunted mansion, mortuary thing that our characters are in. Think the corridor point of view of the summoned demon to the low-angle shots. Well, it's simple, but it does so much. We get rapid cuts and dynamic camera angles. Something as simple as the group discussing what just happened through broken shards of mirror. Dude, it's perfect. Tenney's artistic eye alongside the fun gore effects gives Night of the Demons a certain tone that is unique to itself. It's both preppy and punk, mean-spirited yet goofy, while being as horny and violent as the peak of the early to mid-80s were. And what's against the grain is, mostly, the story is stacked with lovably unlikable archetypes. Stooge is such a prick he may just be near the upper echelon of 80s bullies.
You cannot take this bitch anywhere!
Sal seems right out of the Bronx, yet lives in this quaint rural town. Hilarious and dickish, I do love that he actually gets a mini character arc here. Jay immediately ditches Judy, his date for the night, the second he doesn't get to third base. Suzanne is just horny and bitchy, God bless. And even Angela seems annoyed by everyone at her party. Outside of Roger, which is the only smart man here, he saw what was happening and says, I gotta get the out. And maybe Judy. Everyone here is a jerk and makes for a fun night of death and mayhem. Now, thinking about this movie, I would probably argue the runner-up scene that I believe to be quite iconic and maybe the standout is Linnea Quigley's lipstick scene. The tone of the movie is firmly over the top, but this scene, this quiet moment of body horror, feels so uneasy. Suzanne, who is patient zero in the demonic possession chain, is alone in a room and starts to use her lipstick to draw on her bare chest. Meant to be both sexy and eerie, it's for no one but us, the characters alone. Just showing that the entity, the demonic force, is more than just about killing, but playing with its food, if you will. And I know there's meant to be an aura of sexiness here, but there's something just so dark about this. It's not using her at the moment to hunt or lure any of the teenagers, but it's exploring the human form. And in a moment of unhinged madness, she takes a lipstick, tube and all, and plunges it into her bare nipple. And also, shout out to the great effects artist Steve Johnson. The movie's fantastic all around, and in particular the realistic chess piece on Quigley. Even in HD, it looks surprisingly real. And though this is not bloody in any way, it's still uncomfortable body horror. And a little trivia, Johnson actually ended up marrying Quigley here. I mean, it was a short marriage. And they met on this set, so hey, you never know. But it should come as no surprise that when I think of Night of the Demons, and I know I'm not alone, at the heart of this movie lies one of the more eccentric sequences in 80s horror. The defining scene, Angela's dance, set to the haunting punkness of Bauhaus's Stigmata Martyr. It's transcendent, hypnotic, strange, and of course iconic. This is the scene that defines why Night of the Demons has become a cult favorite. Kincaid's commitment is the reason this feels so authentic. She made the dance up herself. As the demonic possession is overtaking Angela and as Sel, disappointed that his New York charm isn't getting him laid, sits alone, and she enters horny, strange, and confident. Music kicks in, nice fear sticker by the way, and Sel does what anyone would. He sits in bewilderment. What the f is going on? Listen, this entire scene is both hot and discomforting. And Teddy letting his actress just wing it and vibe was a brilliant move. Dressed in a Susie Sue-esque dress, which Kincaid totally pulls off. She moves with an ethereal grace. Of course, the music is a brilliant choice that has that driving, catchy beat, but it's set around a chaotic and jagged rhythm. Angela's fluid, animalistic movements. Again, she's just vibing, but you're completely drawn in. And in a modern era, this scene would not exist. This is a full 2 minutes of wavelength, with fireplace lighting, strobe lights flickering, and drenched in the warm colors of red and orange. Nothing is gory, it's not scary, but it's directed and performed like a trance. It's the switch in the movie from strange things are afoot to, oh, we are f***ed. This is Angela's transformation into a vessel for evil. And though Quigley was the first to get it, this is where Angela becomes the de facto leader, the true antagonist. This isn't just a dance, it's a ritual. One that fully plays out and gives Night of the Demons its own sort of magic. Remember, friends, don't be tempted by the dark-eyed sirens, even if their dance seems like a portal to bliss.
The 80s are, of course, a very magical decade for horror. While they didn't debut here, it was the decade that slashers were able to rise and fall. We got some kings of horror to really come into their own, like Jason and Freddy. We got to watch Michael Myers do something, while getting the best out of directors like John Carpenter, Tobe Hooper, and Wes Craven. It's the favorite decade for horror for most people that you run into, me included. But today, we're here to talk about the 90s. The 90s were something. You got the reinvention of a genre with Scream.
A very simple formula!
Great creature features like Tremors and Deep Rising, an excellent remake of Night of the Living Dead, and some truly special, impactful films like Candyman and Jacob's Ladder. You also got some sequels that maybe missed the mark a little bit. The Curse of Michael Myers, both cuts, and The Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre all failed to live up to their titan predecessors.
You say your shit on luck, son.
But not today's film. Oh no. Night of the Demons is a revered classic, and deservedly so. It's got your typical cast of 80s stereotypes that some you root for, some you loathe, and everyone's expendable. It features some of Scream Queen Leanna Quigley's best and creepiest work, while also adding all the hallmarks of 80s sleaze with gore, nudity, language, drugs, you know, the works. It even adds some cachet to snag an admittedly terrible remake during peak remake season in the late aughts. What you may not know, well, you clicked the video so you do now, is that this late 80s gem got not one but two sequels in the following decade. Night of the Demons 3 from 1997 isn't very good, with our own JoBlo website giving it a negative review, and it's a little bit of an oddity as it's the only film in the series that hasn't been re-released in some way. The second movie in the series is the one that's premium undiscovered gold. It has thoroughly hateable characters that you will love to see die. Plenty of gore, nudity, and practical special effects that invoke what made the 80s such a special decade.
Yeah, of course you gotta throw in a little something extra. Just let them know it ain't exciting one cartoons, if you know what I mean.
The crazy part of all this is that most people I know aren't even aware that the first movie had any sequels, let alone that part 2 was better than part 1. Don't hate me, you know I can't say no to 90s horror. But thank you guys for watching The Black Sheep, and ask if you enjoy our shows, please subscribe to our channel right now. Like this video and click the bell so you can get notified each time a new video goes up. And now, back to the show. The movie opens with a couple of religious folks trying to spread the word, and boy, they couldn't have picked a worse house. The front door opens itself and the pair walk in, only to stumble upon Angela from the first film, who offers them a slice of cake before slicing them instead. The movie decides to let the cat out of the bag early here as Angela goes full demon, and you know that there will be plenty of more bodies in store. The credits tell us who the future victims are as it tours the house, giving us a stark reminder of what happened in the first film. A quick pan to Holy Ground shows us college kids. Wait, no, these are supposed to be high schoolers. Gotta love the practice as old as time of 20-somethings playing 16-year-olds. Anyway, we get a view of the guys' dorm being absolute creeps watching the girls' dorm in a scene that YouTube would absolutely cancel us for. After they get their clothes on, 3 absolute stunners, including an early role from Christine Taylor, or Melody from Hey Dude, if you know, you know, are discussing the events of the first film before they are interrupted by a character named Mouse.
My name's Melissa.
All right, Melissa.
There's some things that you shouldn't joke about.
Mouse happens to be Angela's younger sister, and if you didn't think that was going to be a plot point, Angela rips her jaw off in a dream. We then get introduced to the adult heroes in Father Bob and Sister Gloria.
A kiss is a sin when it is an upper persuasion or a lower invasion.
Father Bob is no stranger to 90s horror or sequels, as the actor showed up in both 976 Evil 2 from the great Jim Wynorski and Leprechaun 3 from the director of this film, Brian Trenchard Smith. Let me just take this time to salute this Aussie director as one of the Hall of Fame exploitation directors from Down Under, with these movies as well as Turkey Shoot and Dead End Drive-In. We here at JoBlo raise our glasses and salute you. The big Halloween dance is coming up, and the group of interchangeable kids gets slowly banned for things like gossiping and nearly getting it on mid-tennis game. No matter, the lead bitchy girl of this ragtag group of kids has a plan. Shirley steals the occult book from the weird kid, every school has one,
You're the one with the binoculars.
and wants to party at the house where Angela and her friends died just a few years prior. Perry, the kid obsessed with the occult who has clearly never seen a horror movie, tries to summon a demon at a church, which goes about as well as you would expect. The party starts and the core group sneaks off into the night with the help of Shirley's boyfriend, who is slightly older than the already extremely old high schoolers. The rub here is that poor Mouse doesn't know where they're going until it's too late. They get to the house and start to stir things up, both with the spirits of the house and with each other,
Save a little room for the Holy Ghost.
while Mouse stays in the car. Easily the smartest decision by a character so far. The couple split off to start the horror movie tradition of sex before dying when a masked man chases Mouse into the house. Shirley and her douchey boyfriend tie her up and pretend to sacrifice her. Mouse sees Angela and freaks out enough that everyone agrees it's time to leave. Wolfman gets attacked and killed by Angela, though you wouldn't know by his reaction after. And head back to the party after Shirley finds a conveniently placed lipstick on the ground. Back at the school party, the teens are having some non-adult supervised fun when Shirley goes to freshen up in the restroom. She goes to apply the lipstick when it turns into a mix of Freddy Krueger transformation and a tree from Evil Dead. After worming its way in, Shirley and Angela are one. Shirley goes back downstairs and we get Angela paying her respects to the first film by doing her best Leanna Quigley impression. Shirley starts grinding on her bow before turning her dance into a striptease and asking if he wants to get a little hands in. What happens next is absolute horror royalty, as her breasts turn into hands and melt his hands before she breaks his neck. That's a sentence I never thought I'd say, and now I don't know how I went so long without it.
Man, this is great.
As silly as that sounds, and oh boy is it, it's another great example of the care put into special effects for this movie. Dumb, yes, but inventive and entertaining as hell. All the non-main characters scatter while the remaining partygoers know now that they need to stop the demons, this time with the help of Sister Gloria, who saw the whole thing. Angela lowers the group's number by 1 with a slick decapitation before Shirley lets Terry into the Demon Club the only way she knows how.
Save a little room for the Holy Ghost.
Demon Terry is exorcised, and Mouse is coerced into returning to the house by her sister, while the crew checks the rest of the school. Father Bob, still skeptical, accompanies the group of demon ass-kickers back to the house. Father Bob and Barry confront a demon, and Father Bob learns too late that this is real, and is stabbed by the demon before Perry takes a page out of From Dusk Till Dawn and zaps him with a holy squirt gun. Wait a minute, let me just check my notes here. Holy cow, these guys did it before From Dusk Till Dawn. Perry and Johnny run into another dumb but fun demon special effect before Perry gets taken out by Z-Boy. Yeah, of course this character's name is Z-Boy, but is able to tell Johnny goodbye in the film's really only tender death moment. The final 3 search the house for Angela and Mouse when they get surrounded by now demonized Bob and the rest of Angela's flock.
You don't know what the hell you're doing.
With more holy water squirt guns and a few water balloon bombs, they turn the demons into some more cool special effects, at least what's left of them, and find Mouse being held captive in a makeshift cathedral. Angela is confronted before seemingly cutting off Sister Gloria's head, only to have us fully transported straight into a cartoon with Gloria popping her head back up. The movie has decided to go off the rails and I am here for it. Angela then tries to get Mouse to kill Sister Gloria, but Mouse decides it's better not to and stabs Angela through the gut.
My name is Melissa.
Sister Gloria shoots her with the holy water, and while it melts the ever-loving shit out of her, it's only a temporary solution. As the survivors attempt to leave, you get Angela's final snake demon form, because the movie still has special effects budgets, so why not? Just as it looks like she's going to win, they're able to get some sunlight into the room, and now I'm not really sure she was a demon or a vampire because Angela explodes into beautiful chunks. Honestly, the worst part of the movie happens when the lipstick is picked up at the very end and a mid-90s CGI snake pops out that looks so bad Lawnmower Man looks like it was made by ILM. Cue credits and cue 90s rock. This movie has absolutely gone under the radar, but it delivers on everything you want from start to finish. Sure, it may be a little slow, and even though the heroes tend to be jerks, it has the goods and the 90s charm to make it a thoroughly watchable film. The only thing that makes it close to being unloved is that it followed in the footsteps of a film made during horror's holiest decade. This should be watched back to back every time with the first one. Pour a drink, pretend to be a teen in your late 20s, and enjoy one of the best unseen horror films we've covered yet.
Night of the Demons 3? Weird. That must be like one of those Hellraiser sequels that wasn't originally intended to be a Hellraiser movie, but had Doug Bradley pasted into it for like 5 minutes to justify it. Wait, it was written by original director Kevin Tenney? Well, surely it's easy to watch. Oh, for Pete's sakes, it's not even streaming on Tubi. No offense to Tubi at all. I love finding random movies to watch on there, but they have everything and even have commentary on the first Night of the Demons. Okay, I knew this movie existed, especially after I did a Black Sheep on the second entry a few years ago, but until a couple of months ago I'd never seen it. After watching both the official version and the work print version, more on that later, I'm ready to move the Black Sheep crown from part 2 to part 3. The king is dead. Long live the king. When you first look up the movie, as I'm sure some of you will, it immediately starts with Night of the Demons 3 is a Canadian horror comedy. And right there, you should be thrilled as Canadian tax shelter films have a long and prestigious line of being anywhere from actually really good to excellently bad. Now, why this series was picked up for a third entry is anyone's guess, as the first one is a bona fide classic and the second one is a silly reinterpretation of the first. What's interesting is that this movie really does boil down to what feels like someone explaining the plots of the first two movies and then the screenwriter mashing the two together to recreate something. The weird part is that the screenwriter is the director of the original movie in Kevin Tenney. Sadly, he ended up not really liking this movie at all and explained that much of what he wanted ended up being cut out. The movie was produced by independent producer Claudio Castrovelli, who has worked in television and film for a multitude of bigger companies. Distribution would fall to Republic Pictures, which is a smaller company owned by Paramount. While Tenney wrote the screenplay this time around, he did not end up directing. The director on this one is a guy by the name of Jim Kaufman, who doesn't have a ton of actual directing credits on his resume, at least one that are instantly recognizable. Tons and tons of TV series episodes and a few other direct-to-video movies, but if you dig deeper, he's quite the accomplished assistant director. He helped out as first or second unit director on stuff like Scanners, Children of a Lesser God, Dracula 2000, and Gothica. Tenney is a favorite of horror enthusiasts with stuff like Night of the Demons, Witchboard and Witch Trap, Pinocchio, and The Cellar, along with a handful of other sequels and one-offs. While he lamented things being left on the cutting room floor, I don't think him directing would have mattered, as these types of direct-to-video releases usually get slashed up and repurposed by the distributors. I mean, this was called Demon House in the UK and not even really pushed as the third movie in a trilogy at the time of its release. The movie did have a very limited theatrical release. Its budget, if Wikipedia is to believe, was $5.7 million, which is a huge jump from the other two movies, and its gross from either the theater release or home video market is unknown to me, or the internet that I'm willing to spend time searching anyway. At least they had the foresight to release the movie in October of 1997. While it does feel disjointed, it still has one constant going for it. Angela, who is the ever-present and looming threat throughout the entire series, is still here to drum up laughs and scares, and is still played by the same trooper of a gal that portrayed the demon in the first two. While Amelia Kincaid may not have a ton of film credits, she is quite the success with having 6 books published worldwide, and, let's be honest, she will have a legacy that lives on long after she passes with these 3 movies. While her makeup here is easily the worst of the trilogy, she hardly misses a beat, and by this time is a slasher villain in her own right. She gets a good body count here, and can be attributed to more with those she turns to demons killing and being killed off as well. The movie opens with a police officer exploring Hull House on Halloween a few years after the events of the second film. He runs afoul of Angela and is killed by his own police badge before we are treated to an amazing CGI opening that looks like a point-and-click adventure horror PC game that would star Tim Curry in the 90s, and I mean that in the best possible way. While the humor here is much more akin to the second movie than the first, this one feels comfortable enough to move Angela into the Freddy realm, where she has a fun quip to use after every death she doles out, and it mostly works.
Here, I'm the law, and it's time to pronounce sentence. You're a fucking snake.
Suck on this, bitch.
Excuse me, but I've been such a scatterbrain lately.
This movie is the physical manifestation of HBO late-night movie, with its looks and action. After that fantastic opening credits scene, we get one of the 3 pillars of horror we have come to expect. After we get to see Angela and know that her and her demons will be the creatures of the movie, we're also immediately introduced to more characters that are instantly naked for reasons that the plot tries to explain as normal. Of course, Holly and Abby are getting ready for a Halloween party, and of course they get stuck on the way there so they can be picked up by the other half of the movie's characters. Vince, Lois, Nick, and Reggie, who all look about as 90s as you'd expect, are cruising along in their van when they come across Abby and Holly. The group now needs to bring booze to this function and stops at a gas station to use a fake ID.
This is supposed to be you? Fuck off before I call the cops.
Yo, come on, man. Just give us that whoa, man.
The situation escalates way further than anyone wants to, with cops arriving and people getting shot, including Reggie.
Whoa.
The group takes some of the guns and pulls away in the van, only wind up at Hull House when they run out of gas. At the crime scene, we are introduced to Lieutenant Dewhurst, who has an amazing character issue of retiring on Halloween at midnight. It's the equivalent of a character buying a new boat called the Never Die just days before retiring. This cop is doomed. At Hull House, Vince forces everyone to go inside by crossing over the underground stream, which according to Abby is why they shouldn't enter the cursed house and the only thing keeping the demons at bay. Vince pulls a total Chad move and shoots a hole in the wall, which unleashes the Angela demon, even though we already saw her earlier, which is kind of confusing.
Holy shit! Who the hell are you?
While the group Scooby-Doo separates, we get the famous and required Angela dance, followed by her sucking the bullets out of Orson's gun in a way that only a 90s HBO-type movie would feel comfortable doing.
Open wide and give me some tongue.
We get the first real kill of the movie, and even though it took longer than expected, it's fun. In fact, something unexpectedly fun about the whole movie is its kills. They put most of that reported $5 million budget into the kills, well, that and that all-timer of a credits intro. Once we get the first one of the teens killed off, it moves really quickly. As I said before, the movie has everything we're looking for with dumb teens getting killed off, fun effects and creature design, makeup aside, and these people finding almost any reason to have a steamy session with contract-guaranteed nudity. Abby is next to get the demonic treatment as Angela makes her feel good about herself for the first time before sealing the deal with a kiss. Reggie then gets hit by a car driven by Demon Orson, while Lois gets her arm turned into a snake in the most convincing arm snake this side of Santino Marella, which of course also bites her. The cop from the very beginning appears, if only to kill a few minutes with a chase, and show us what happens when demons cross a running stream. After he disintegrates, Officer Dewhurst appears and tries to convince Holly and Nick that he is there to help. He takes them outside, but Vince tries to take Angela as a hostage to negotiate. He opens fire and is shot through the eye before getting turned into a demon like the rest of his dead friends. Angela will let the rest go if Holly will join her willingly and open a gate to hell. Dewhurst won't have any of that on his watch, and while sunup hits and he is technically retired, Angela appears and rips out his heart before turning her attention towards Nick and Holly. She grabs Holly, but Nick pulls them both over the stream, which makes Angela turn into a fatality from one of the Mortal Kombat games. We, of course, get the swerve ending where Angela turns the lights on in Hull House and laughingly says Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
There would be no fourth entry, but 2009 would bring us a remake starring Edward Furlong and Shannon Elizabeth of all people. While I have no idea of the quality of that film, I'm also not sold on giving it a go, but you guys let me know in the comments if it's the good kind of trash.
Before we continue with our video, here's a reminder to click the Store tab on any of our JoBlo channels and browse our collection of the latest and freshest designs in our merch store. Go get you some.
Night of the Demons 3 is the good kind of trash. Characters that you want to die, fun gore and completely pointless nudity, and a very small tangential link to the other movies in the series. It's a bummer that it's not easily accessible, but good on Scream Factory for giving it the best edition you could ask for. In addition to some great interviews, commentary, and other special features, the disc also provides a director's cut work print and an alternate TV version. That's 3 versions of a third entry for a series that I'm guessing a ton of people haven't had the chance to see. While Part 2 was the original Night of the Demons Black Sheep, I feel like that one is getting the recognition it deserves, and now it's time for Part 3 to shine. Head over to Hull House and make sure to give Angela my best.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.